New York City Comic Con, how's it going? Come on, I know you guys can get more excited than that. New York City Comic Con, how's it going? There we go. You'll love to see it. Listen, we're gonna talk about a really exciting show coming out soon. It's called Secret Level, and I'm gonna introduce some of its creators. First up, I wanna introduce the co-creator, the co-founder of Blur Studio, and the executive producer and creator of Secret Level, introducing Tim Miller. Give it up, y'all. Tim, welcome. How's it going?
Thank you. I'm going to let Dave have the center of attention.
Oh, yeah. We're going to grill Dave all day. All right, we're going to have a good time here. Also introducing, of course, the executive producer / supervising director of Secret Level. Guys, give it up for Dave Wilson. Welcome in. Welcome
You're in the middle, Dave.
Guys, first up, I want to ask you guys, how is your New York City Comic Con treating you? How's it going?
I am so happy to be here. I've been to 28 Comic Cons in San Diego, but this is my first one in New York, and I am very proud to be here.
Yes,
Couldn't have taken
it
this
is
long.
my first too. We have a crew of us from Blur that have been going down to San Diego for 20 years. Yes.
You guys pick up any cool merch? I saw you had a Funko Pop out there.
We got that for free.
That was a freebie. But I would buy so much shit at Comic Con that I would have to box it up and ship it back because I couldn't carry it on the train.
Oh, man. Well, of course, we're here to talk about Secret Level. I think a lot of us here are very excited for this show. First off, for those who may not know, what is Secret Level?
Dave?
You know, I don't know how much you know about Blur, but we've been making sort of game cinematics and trailers for almost 30 years now. And in every single one of those trailers we would make, when YouTube actually came around, because we were making them before then, there would be comments like, this should be its own series or its own feature. And we believed that too. And it took a long, long time for someone to take the chance to take that step with us. And Love, Death, and Robots, which we also created, like that.
I feel the same way.
It was sort of, and it was like this sort of head slap moment, and I can't take credit for it. It was all Tim, where we were like, what about Love, Death, and video games? And the sort of that, and it was just in a conference room at our studio, and it sort of all spun out from there. But it takes a lot of, you know, it's not I wouldn't say it's a traditional show by any means, so it takes a lot of people willing to take a risk to do something like this, and we're pretty proud.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Of course, I didn't even get to introduce myself. My name is Blessing Adeoye Jr. I work...
Yes.
There we go. I work for a company called Kinda Funny, and Kinda Funny, we do these watch-alongs to big presentations, right? And one of my favorite moments of the Gamescom that just happened was, Tim, you introducing Secret Level to the world. It was really cool because...
Because I cried like a little...
you cried like a man.
Small child.
You know, you cried like a passionate person. We love to see it.
He cries all the time, and we have asked him to stop at every staff meeting and holiday party.
But never for pain. Only for joy and because I'm overwhelmed by what we do. I feel so lucky.
Yeah,
I feel so grateful.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, when you talked about what Secret Level was, I think for the audience, for those watching, it was exciting because, you know, you mentioned Love, Death, and video games. I think that's a thing that a lot of people didn't realize that they wanted until you mentioned it. And we're like, oh, snap, this is a really cool idea. Like, when we talk about Blur Studio, you know, I think a lot of people are familiar with the work, but when I go through, right, you guys, of course, you did Love, Death, and Robots. You did the Gears of War Judgment, or eBay trailer that just came out recently. You guys have done work on the Sonic movie. You guys have done work on Call of Duty. Tim, you directed Deadpool, right? Like, there is such a catalog. Give it up. There is...
I want to hear you clap for Terminator Dark Fate, too. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, thank you. I know you did that just for me, but I appreciate it.
There is such a catalog of work that you guys have put out there that I think has proven your talent and has gotten people excited about the prospect of what that can be. And I think Secret Level is kind of what it feels like this has been building to. For you guys, I want to ask, what made you want to pursue this as a project?
we're on season 4 of Love, Death, and Robots, and it took us that long to say, hey, what if we did video games in this format? Which was I felt pretty fucking stupid when it came up. But it is the perfect circle, really, because we did cutscenes and marketing trailers for video games, which was really the perfect training ground for for Love, Death, and Robots, which is short films based off IP that nobody knows unless you're a nerd and read short story books like I do. And then that, in turn, got us a chance to do Secret Level. And we built on sort of the relationships that we made over all the 30 years of Blur, and people that trust us with their IP, then we're not going to fuck it up like most of the time Hollywood does, except Amazon, of course, because Fallout was pretty awesome. And so it would just seem like the perfect coming home to us to do this show.
I mean, that leads me to my next question, which is, Love, Death, and Robots is really cool because you get to create all these unique stories, and you guys get to own what these stories are. Secret Level is different in the fact that you're working with a lot of other people's IP. You're working with a lot of people's property. How difficult is it to, reach out to these publishers or reach out to these IP holders and, get to create your own stories within their worlds?
Some of our, like we mentioned, we've been making trailers for a long time. Like we made a whole series for the Star Wars: The Old Republic back in the day, and a lot of the
Dave directed most of those.
Thank you for the.
I directed one. Dave directed the big one, the first one, which was like, it was a big.
That was the cool
It was a big fucking deal. Yeah.
Anyway, but
Anyway.
the developers who spun out of that, they have a game in our series called Exodus, and we did so many trailers with them over the years that when we said we were doing the show, it wasn't like for them. They just jumped in with both feet, and they give us a lot of trust, and we try not to squander it. But it's the process of who's in the show is incredibly complicated. But what we did try and do, we didn't want it to be just AAA franchises. We wanted to be something past and present. We wanted indie games and nostalgia games and blockbusters. And if we could make humor and horror and science fiction and fantasy, we're trying to obviously make it broad and appealing and with variety because it's an anthology. But it is definitely like, and this is why I'm so proud about the show, is like doing something new in this town is very difficult. Like, especially if there's nothing you can point at and say, well, it's just going to be like that. Because it feels safe and people are like, and so they'll do that. But like when you come up and like, we're going to get 15 different IPs and we're all going to put them together. And the fact that Mega Man is standing next to a Space Marine in a show is pretty crazy when you think about it. And you're going to see a little bit of what we did with Pac-Man. It's
Just wait. Just wait.
It's pretty fabulous that because it feels like, I remember when I grew up in South Africa and I got to LA and E3 was still a thing back then. It felt like it just was this amazing moment where everybody came together. And like any chance we can get where we can celebrate like the community and the culture of gaming in the biggest way possible on the biggest stage, it just feels right. And it's always like, I applaud the sort of brave few that come together and say, we're going to do this differently. And so the only way we get to do more of it is if everyone comes out and says, it's fucking great, so please help us because we want to make more.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned 15 different properties, 15 IP, 15 episodes that are being tackled here. How do you guys go about choosing which episodes you want to do, which games you want to, tell stories in?
Well, a lot of times it's like which girl that you ask to dance says yes. But we do. If you looked at the client list of Blur, you'd notice a lot of the games that are in the season are people that we've worked with in the past because there was a level of trust there. As Dave said, it is something new and it's different and it's strange. And some people get it immediately. They go, "Oh fuck yeah, we're in." And other people go, I don't know if that's going to work because they're all different in different tones and it's a TV show. It's not normally where we talk to our fans because I think the future lies in a synergy between television or linear media and film and games. But it's not it's not the usual thing quite yet. And now I've lost the thread. What was your fucking question?
Why? Why?
Like how do you go about choosing these things?
Yes, and so we went to talk to the games that we thought would be interesting, and some of them said yes.
That's awesome.
I should have started with that, right?
Now, Tim, we got something really cool for the room, an exclusive for the room, a clip that we want to play, an exclusive reel, I should say, that we want to play for the room. Tim, can you tee this up a little bit? And also, before you do, actually, I do want to mention, this is something that is exclusive to this room, and so I'm going to ask you guys to put away your phones. No recording of this. This is just for the room. This is just for you guys.
I think Dave has to tee this one up.
I think we were watching the teaser.
Oh, the teaser, shit, sorry. We don't rehearse this thing. No. So this is a special teaser that is just for you guys.
Exclusive for New York.
Exclusive, yes. Secret level teaser. Every time I see this, I get little goosebumps. So you're going to like it.
Awesome. Roll the clip. That's so good. I hadn't seen that clip. I was not expecting it to hit in that way. That was incredible. Oh my God, what a list of names we got there, right? Like, you got Arnold Schwarzenegger is in this thing. You got Kevin Hart up in this thing. Like, how do you go about finding this level of talent to portray characters in these worlds?
You might also notice that some of these names have worked in movies that I've made before. And so I might also have pictures of them that I can use to bribe them or things like that, that I just might have to mail to them before I ask them. No, I don't. They're all, look, people in Hollywood are just like people around the world that love games. They play games, they're interested in games. If they don't play them, their kids play them. And so when I call and say, hey, could you be in this series, and this is what it's about, almost universally I get a fuck yeah, sure, no problem. So it's not that hard, really.
There's a lot. It sounds like there would be some amazing casting process that makes this happen, but it's the same with the IP. There's a trust that we're not gonna mess it up. And it sort of started as a joke. I would get these videos of on my phone sent to me from Tim, and I remember the day one popped in from. It was just Arnold in a gym somewhere, being like, "Whatever you want me to do, I'm in." Like,
wow, that's awesome.
It's to Dave. I said, Arnold, say, Dave, whatever you want me to do.
Were there any names in particular where you're like, oh man, I can't believe we got this person? I imagine Arnold maybe was one of those, right?
Yeah, I mean, and Keanu.
Keanu, yeah.
Keanu Reeves, oh my goodness.
Yes. And he's a big gamer for sure, and he's a huge fan of Love, Death, and Robots. And he was visiting Tim at the studio, talking about another project, and we had all the artwork for the series up on the walls, and he was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And Tim was like, "Well, you can't be a part of that," but
But that's what I mean. They're fans of the same material. Yeah. Like Keanu came to talk about another project that ultimately didn't happen, and I said, "Dude, I thought you weren't going to show up because he's like, "Are you fucking kidding? I have so many questions." And he wanted to talk about Love, Death, and Robots, and then he heard about this other series, and it moved on from there.
And I got that video, and it was just Keanu going like, "Junkie Mech Pilot."
But you know, Ariana Greenblatt, who was in Borderlands, Kevin
Hart, Borderlands, also in Borderlands.
His daughter, Heaven Hart, who is an intern at Blur.
Wait, really?
She wants to be a writer. Yeah, she's great. And then we looked at the key art that we were casting for the PlayStation one, and she kind of fit perfect, you know. And we had a snarky little robot there that seemed like perfect for Kevin. So father-daughter act there.
Snarky robot, interesting.
Snarky robot.
Interesting. Can I ask, where does the name Secret Level come from? How'd you guys fall on that name?
Oh man, the naming thing is such a fraught process, but we just go through the list of it, and then I put the ones that I think it should be, and everybody tells me no, and then we arrive at something better, like Channel F. I wanted Channel F.
Even
Blur. It's the first gaming console ever made.
Blur's first name was Spiral Blur, which was a terrible idea.
I got shot down.
And then somebody came in and was like, "How about just Blur?"
Yeah, Uncanny Valley was my other one, and everybody said, "Dude, fuck off. That's not happening." But Secret Level seemed to be that thing that all gamers understand. There is that special thing that if you are dedicated enough, if you spend the time, and because you love what you're doing and you find it, and it's that reward. And I'm not talking about people that cheat on look at YouTube videos about how to find it. I mean, if you actually invest. And Dave and I are back from the time when there was no YouTube, so you had to find it. You had to invest the time.
Yes, it was a reward for venturing beyond the map, and that's.
Now, can I ask, we're talking about Secret Level as an anthology, right? And it's coming to Amazon Prime, which is very exciting. How do you guys feel about where video game adaptations are at today? Because I feel like in the last few years, we've seen some really good shows. We've seen some really good adaptations, especially on Amazon, right? Fallout came out earlier this year, and I love Fallout on Amazon, right?
Fallout, Last of Us,
Yeah, Fallout, Last of Us. We got like more coming up in the future. Is there like a pressure or like oh man, we got to follow up on this? Do you have any sort of feelings around that?
I mean, we've been waiting for this opportunity for a long, long time, especially sort of animated adaptations. And I think one of the most amazing things about the series is, any video game adaptation, when you're spending like $150, $200 million, like there are a lot of boxes that you need to tick along the way. And I think in ticking some of those boxes, people start to become a little risk averse. And what's amazing about the series is, like, these are 5, 10, 15-minute adaptations, and like they've not been declawed. They are aggressive. They are adult, and it really feels like we're taking a chance at like a different type of video game adaptation that hasn't been done before. And the hope is that it sort of that it spins out at even larger things, like mini series of individual IPs.
And I would say that we are our worst critics, so I'm not sure that something like the success of Fallout made it worse. In fact, it made it a lot better because Amazon was excited about the series and the show before, but when they see the success of Fallout, it's just another thing that builds an understanding that there's a big audience out there for this material, and it puts a spotlight on the show in a good way. I hope we can fucking live up to the hopes that they have now, but I feel like the show does.
Yeah, and you never want, like, every time somebody comes along and makes a great show, Last of Us, Fallout, they open the door a little wider for everybody else. Like, and nobody wants to be the person who comes along and closes it.
Yeah.
So, we are definitely incredibly excited about it, especially because, like, video games are animated. Like, they always have been. Like, in my eyes, like, animated adaptations are the truest form of adaptation for a video game. So I am hoping that we are sort of heeding the call of all those YouTube comments over the years, and that we simply
not all of them.
I mean, you talk about it being an animated adaptation, what that brings to the table. I got to check out a few of the episodes of Secret Level, and one of the ones I really enjoyed, because I enjoyed the game, is Sifu, right? Like, Sifu was one of my games of the year that it came out. And that was a tough year. That was the same year as Elden Ring, But, Sifu is such a cool game, I think, for its gameplay, but then also its art style. And one thing that you guys bring to the table as Blur is an expertise in, of course, visual effects and, how to create something that looks really cool in animation. But Sifu has a very unique art style in itself. Can I ask, what is the process like adapting something that already has a striking style? Is that difficult to try and make something that is in that Sifu art style?
I think the difficulty with their art style is just not to mess it up. Like, we ingested a lot from them at the beginning of the process, but whenever whatever the episode is, like, we want to sort of either expand upon what they've done, or sort of find a new style. Like, Spelunky's a platformer, so obviously we had to figure out how we would do that. But the folks at Slow Clap were amazing about it, and a lot of it was they did a lot of research into the sort of culture of the world that their game inhabits. So I think that's the thing they were most concerned about. When it wasn't that we were plussing it or adding more violence or blood or gore or anything like that. It was mostly about staying true to the sort of cultural tenets of their game.
Well, I have to say it's kind of cool, and it's weird. Dave and he'll probably agree with me, but we're so used to work, like, all the artists at Blur are so good. All the artists at the companies that we work with, like his company Digic in Hungary did Sifu, or Unit. in France or Plattige in Poland. We work with all these companies around the world, and they're smaller boutique companies full of really focused, dedicated artists. And I don't know about you, but I worry about the stories not being good enough. That's the hardest thing for us to feel like we've got a mastery of that. I just take it for granted that it's going to look great. Yeah, it's going to look great. We're going to solve it. Whatever the art style is, we'll be able to solve it because we have, like, the Navy SEALs of fucking animation.
I can say the one thing about Sifu that I like. There's a scene in a hallway that I've wanted to shoot in live action for years and years. It's in a glass bottom hallway.
I can attest to that. I've heard it. Over and over.
But no stunt team will do it. They're like, we can't do it. We can't put pads down. There's no. We're going to kill ourselves in there. And then Sifu came along, and it was when I came onto the show. They were obviously we were going through the process of picking episodes, and I played Sifu too, and I wanted a kung fu game, and I was like, we're going to go after that one, and they jumped in with both feet, and now there's a hallway scene with glass bottom floor.
Now, you talk about art style, right? And of course, Blur Studio is known for animation. Did you guys ever consider, with an anthology, maybe making an episode that would take place in live action? Was that ever something that came to the?
Oh yeah, yes. I don't think that we want to put any limits on the show.
Yeah, it's funny. Getting to watch some of the episodes, Outer Worlds. I got to check out that episode. And when I tell you that when that first started, for a second I was like, "Is this live action?" Like, it looks so good that legitimately, it was that thing where my eyes tricked me, and I was like, "What's going on here?"
We focus test some of the episodes, and I was reading one of the cards the other day, and they had watched Warhammer, and the gentleman who was answering the questionnaire was like, I didn't even realize it was animated until I read this questionnaire. And you asked me if I liked animation.
Wow.
But yes, I mean, I think we have waited so long to be able to put sort of Blur's brand and Platige's brand and units, this sort of high-end, high-fidelity sort of animation. Every decade somebody takes a shot, whether it was Beowulf or Final Fantasy, or and desperately want those to succeed because it feels like this untapped vein of incredibly high fidelity, aggressive animation that we are just hoping that this step is us opening the door wider.
Until very late in the process, there was an episode in there that was a live action CG hybrid for a variety of reasons. Most of them being lawyers, they couldn't be in the show, but you would have been really excited about this episode. And we had a great fucking story. And, oh man, it was going to be a live action CG hybrid, like shot in the volume, like Mandalorian style, which is super cool.
But it would make it like if the luck has it, and
in the fullness of time.
And something like Red Dead threw in, there would be no point in doing that animated. I'd much rather go out into the desert and film it.
But big space opera, I mean, you can get so much more scope in animation. Both Dave and I have directed live action stuff, and we keep coming back to animation because there's just things you can do that are too hard or too expensive to do otherwise. So that's why we love it.
So you talk about, again, 15 episodes utilizing 15 different properties. Were there, and you also mentioned that, you were able to, the secret is you're getting the properties that are able to say yes. Were there any games that you really wanted to get that you weren't able to get? Or even, I can phrase the question like this. Are there any games that are dream games that you would like to make a secret level episode
we tried Space Invaders. And it's funny too, because so many of them are Williams Entertainment, like the classic arcade game, was bought by Midway, it's bought by somebody else, and so there's like all these beautiful games sitting out there on mothballs in some basement in some studio, and we're like, well, can we just borrow it and we'll make something with it, like Joust.
I want to do a fucking dead nut serious Joust, like gritty, very bloody Joust episode.
We want crossovers too. We want Master Chief and Doomslayer in one big episode. Like we have high aspirations.
Yes, because my favorite comics when I was growing up was like when the Justice League would fight the Avengers. I was like, fuck yeah. So why can't we have a crossover in the world of games and have some of these game characters fight each other? And I just I want to say that I would like to do flashback. I want you guys to all write Valve and say you want to see Half-Life in the show. Because we've tried very hard. The Team Fortress cinematics, the little vignettes, were some of my favorite things of all time.
Duke Nukem.
Duke
Doom.
Nukem. And you
King's
could also
Quest and
write
Space
you could also
Quest
write id and tell them we would like Doom and Wolfenstein. Yeah. So there's a lot, and I'm hoping that if the series is successful, they'll see the error of their ways and let us have their IP to play with.
Tim, Dave, we have more exclusive clips to show the audience. The first one that we want to show is about Warhammer. Yeah. Tim, do you want to introduce this one?
No, this is Dave directed this, and I'm going to let him talk about it. But I just want to say, I think it's one of the best things Blur's ever done.
Are you going to cry?
Dave.
Tim is the most relentless note giver on the planet, and we played the animatic for him, and he had 3 things to say, and I think it was, I fucking no idea what's going on, but I love it. Adapting a franchise's story to Warhammer is almost impossible, and so always
No notes. That was the point of that story.
Yeah,
no
no
notes.
notes.
I have no notes.
But for many reasons, the episode is incredibly personal to me. Like, and if I was to describe our Warhammer episode, is a violent tone poem for the franchise. Like, there's too much lore and too many characters there. So, if anything, it embodies like the tone of what Warhammer's about. But I think the clip you're going to see is just the violence part.
And again, friendly reminder to put away the phones. No recording of this. This is exclusive for the room. Let's roll the clip. Come on.
They do that for a lot of the episode.
Bring the whole family.
I was gonna say, do you ever, show these episodes to the IP holders and have them go, too violent? Do you ever get that feedback?
Not the Games Workshop people. No.
I mean, you talk about Warhammer and how, big that fan base is. What is it like, again, to be able to create your own unique stories in a universe like that?
It is intimidating, and mostly because, like I said, we've loved them for so long. Nobody wants to be the player that fumbles the ball. So these IPs don't belong to us, or anyone in LA. Like, we borrow these characters and these worlds for this little ephemeral moment, and it belongs to you more than it belongs to us. It belongs to the people in Nottingham who the creative dens and the factory floors, and we literally just borrow them, and our only sort of hope is that we leave it in a better state than we found it, right? Because we love this stuff, and if we can invite a few more people into these sort of storied worlds, then we have done our job.
And we treat this like it's a process, and the developers and the IP holders and the game makers are part of it. It's not like they just give us the IP and they walk away. So this is a broad spectrum, but some of them say, look, we want the teams focused on making the games, so do your thing, fellas, and fuck off and make the short. And then there's the other side that says we want to be involved in every decision, and we're happy to do either one. But most of these people really care about how we treat their characters, and we like the involvement is great. It's not a weight that we have to. It's not bullshit that we have to wade through. It's a sort of a joyous process.
Now, my next question is actually for the audience. Audience, do you guys want to see another exclusive clip? So this next one we got is for New World Eternum. Which one of you guys wants to introduce this one?
This is the Arnold episode.
Oh, come on.
And Dave's pitch for this was, what if Conan was all talk? That's enough.
Awesome. Again, phones away, and let's roll the clip.
Some of you may have noticed that the guy he was fighting looked familiar too, and that was Gabe Luna, who played the Terminator in Dark Fate. So
Oh my
we had two
goodness.
Terminators against each other there.
That's awesome. I gotta ask, how was it like working with Arnold?
Oh, he's great. He's the nicest guy, and he plays chess all the time on the set. Like if he's not in a scene, he's there playing chess with his buddies. So he is great. He's the nicest guy to work with, and he's I mean, people know it now, but for an action star, he's incredibly fucking funny all the time. So he loved hamming it up. You cannot, you don't have to pull it out of him. It's there, right?
Now, we just got done talking about Warhammer, and there was that Warhammer 40K game that just came out not too long ago. New World Eternum also came out.
Space Marine 2.
Oh, Space Marine 2, yeah. And New World Eternum just came out as well. How is it working on these IP for games that are, coming out in the moment? Is that something that's purposeful, or is that happenstance that it just happens this way?
Yeah. I would like to say it's just a coincidence, but of course it's not. At the end of the day, marketing greases the wheels of commerce and art. So it's a little easier to convince a game company to be a part of the show if the show happens to come out in the window that they're releasing the game. Why do I say that? Like I'm ashamed of it, or there's something wrong with it. It's great. I mean, and we hope to put the show out every year, so the window will always be open, and that's sort of
Make it
what we
happen.
hope to do.
No, I mean, but I think the awesome thing about that is that, we look back in the last few decades of video games, and, video games turning from a young medium to maybe a middle-aged medium. I don't know where we're at in terms of that.
Gaming is the dominant entertainment platform on planet Earth. Like there are more gamers than anything else. Like more than movies, more than television, more than pro sports, everything. There are more fans in the gaming clubhouse than anywhere else.
And I bring that up because I think the way that we approach adapting video games, or vice versa, right? Like adapting movies to video games or whatever it is, you've seen a lot of evolution. Like I think in the earlier 2000s, we would, I think, make fun of a lot of those adaptations because it felt like, oh man, obviously you guys had 8 months to make this game, or not that long to, or maybe not the resources to make this movie. The fact that now in 2024, we have different avenues, we have different ways in which we can make these things happen. I think Secret Level is a very good example of, hey, we don't have to make a bad New World Eternum movie. We can make an episode of Secret Level and have it work, because it is something that is, I think, scoped correctly, and probably something that's more appealing to the audience because it fits within this anthology of episodes. And so I think that's the evolution that we're talking about when you talk about being able to have it come out alongside these releases that are happening. So.
And the fact that it comes out, there's a short film, doesn't preclude the fact that there could be a movie or a television series that's built off of it. Believe me, it's not lost on us that we hope that people see this and say, maybe that one should be a longer series, or maybe that one should get a movie adaptation, because, we like to do this shit.
Hey, listen.
So we'd like to do more of it. And hopefully this is sort of a low-cost way to find out really what people want to see.
And that's my thing. We go back talking about Sifu. I love the fact that, the more Sifu content, the better. We're getting the episode, and then we're going to get a Sifu movie eventually. And so, for me, the more the merrier in that case. Now, what if I told you, audience, that we have another clip to show you? Now, this clip is for Pac-Man. Yeah.
I wouldn't get too excited yet because you don't know what you're going to see. But if we were to tee up Pac-Man, I would say we attempted to disembowel your childhood. But we didn't do it alone, though. Like when we sat with
Dave, this was completely Dave's decision. I had nothing to do with this.
we sat down with
whatsoever.
Bandai, and we're definitely not the risk-averse bunch. But they were like, if people could wonder. And this was their words, translated. If people could wonder what the fuck did they do to Pac-Man, that's what we like. And so we made this. And I think we might have toned it down for this clip.
Again, no recording for this one. Let's roll the clip.
If you watch The Mandalorian, you will recognize the voice of Puck as Emily Swallow from The Mandalorian.
My
This
question.
is gonna fuck you up, this episode.
Yeah. So my question for you guys about this one is: have you considered therapy? Like, have you like? Because you know who?
Like we don't go already. Tim and I have couples therapy on Tuesdays.
Because when you think of Pac-Man, and when you think of how to tell a story within the Pac-Man universe, I feel like this is the last thing that I would have came up with.
And yes, and you haven't seen any of it. That's the easiest part of the episode to get through. Why this story? Like I said, they challenged us to make something weird. We wrote a lot of weird stories. We didn't think they were weird enough. Then Tim wrote a story.
No.
Wait, who wrote it then?
Huh?
Who wrote? I can't even remember.
I
who
didn't
wrote it.
write this story.
Somebody wrote.
Do we not
the
know who
story.
wrote the story?
What are you trying to do here? No.
We have like
ghost?
we invited our authors did many rounds of it, and some were traditional and exactly what you expect Pac-Man to be. We took a lot of ingredients from all the different short stories, and our head writer J.T. Petty came up with like a screenplay that we sort of all chipped in on. But it is pretty much what you're seeing there.
And it's important to say, in conjunction with the game developers.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
we did that.
so Bandai Namco's okay with all this.
The one thing I want to say, the script is great, but our directors, Victor and Alfredo, who sort of a co-director team go by the name of Headless, they've directed on Love, Death, and Robots. Like their pitch deck for what Pac-Man could be was pretty amazing, and like there was like clips of Mandy in a Pac-Man deck, which is two things that you'd never think would go together, but they did. And like their vision for what the episode is exactly what you're going to see on December 10th.
It's really great. Just fucked up.
Now we have do you have one more thing to say?
I was going to describe it as Pac-Man by way of Memento, which is weird.
That's really cool. I really like that. We have a little bit of time left. I want to open the floor to audience questions. I believe we maybe have microphones set up. I don't know if we need to turn the house lights on or how this works. There we go. House lights are on. Now, do we have microphones set up somewhere? Right here. Oh, we already got people lining up. There we go. Let's start over here. What's your name? What's your question?
Hi, I'm KJ. Thank you for making the series. I was just wondering what video game boss was your hardest boss, and metaphorically, what's your hardest boss?
No Valorant questions?
Hardest
boss. Boss.
The hardest boss. Yeah. So the question is literally, what is their hardest video game boss? And then metaphorically, what is your hardest boss?
No, I'm not going to do it.
That's a great question, and I'm stumped right now.
I mean, do you play Elden Ring? Do you play Dark Souls?
Not enough. All I've been doing, strangely, for the last 3 years is this. Like, there is a pile of video games I haven't played, and now I'm trying to.
I mean, that sounds like the metaphorical boss right there. Is getting to your pile of video games.
He's sitting next to me and has been for the past 20 years.
Awesome. Let's take a question over here. What's your name? What's your question?
Hi, my name's Will. I actually work for Games Workshop, and as a fan of the game for about 20 years, you nailed it. It looked great. My question for you, you said it was deeply personal to bring Warhammer to the big screen because it's mostly just a tabletop game. Could you speak more on that?
Yes, and I'll try not to cry. So 20.
That's my shtick, Dave.
There's many reasons why it's deeply personal, but 20 years ago, Blur created a trailer for Dawn of War 3.
You did that?
Yeah.
Fantastic game.
Thank you. And Tim turned it down because they gave us 4 weeks to make it. And he hung up the phone and he came over to my desk and he was like, I know you like that Warhammer shit, but we can't do it in 4 weeks. And I'm like, yes, we can. And we sort of enabled it was like the Navy SEAL strike team of animators at Blur, and we got it done. But 20 years later, we're making this, but it's very personal to the story. When you see it, there is like we try and write stories that everyone can connect to, sort of underneath all that violence and all that world building and everything like that. And for me, like there was a question of who Space Marines are, if you understand the law and how sort of meticulously they adhere to their doctrine. There was this question, can we control what our children become? And, ooh, I almost lost it there. But my father died while we were writing the story for the episode. I was literally on a Zoom call with Aaron Dembski-Bowden, who is like an amazing Warhammer author. And we were circling an idea, and I got a call from South Africa that my dad had died, and I was like, Aaron, this is a story we got to tell. So that's why.
Sorry for your loss. Thank you for the answer.
right.
Swing back this direction. What's your name? What's your question?
Hi, my name is Paul, and so I gotta say, I'm so excited for this series. The episode I'm excited for the most would definitely have to be Mega Man. As someone who really grew up with Mega Man as a kid, spent days in my grandma's house playing Mega Man X. But I gotta say, you mentioned earlier that for your episodes, the IP holders were very involved in the development process of those episodes. And considering how much more adult-oriented this series is, like, how lenient was Capcom with helping you make this episode? Like, are we gonna see Mega Man rip off Fireman's head in a big bloody mess, or were they like, oh,
Like you want to see that.
well, or were they more like, oh, if Mega Man says anything worse than crap, that's not gonna work?
Yeah, look, we don't want to betray, like, as much as it's clear, we need to make one specifically for you. You know, we don't want to betray. Like, there are definitely tenets of the franchise that, and as Tim mentioned, when we start this process, we build these big creative guides, and they're sort of the do's and don'ts of the franchise, and they're definitely like sorry to say it, like no ultra violence in Mega Man, but we're getting there. Just keep requesting.
Oh no,
I can't tell you why the handcuffs came off for Pac-Man. But because the same rules would seem to apply to that, if not more. But they were unlocked for a reason, and you'll find out in due time.
I'm excited. Thank you.
All right, let's swing back this way. What's your name? What's your question?
Hi there, my name is Tony. This looks fantastic. You guys do great work. I have one question, but a backup question in case you can't answer that one. I couldn't help but notice Concord in there.
Oh, don't be a dick. Come on.
I was just wondering what you guys are going to do about that, or I could ask the backup question.
I'll answer that in two parts. The first thing is, we know those developers, like we talked to all the developers, and they are great people who only wanted to make a great game, and I'm proud to have been involved with them, and that they wanted to be a part of the show. And I'm super proud of the episode. We start these things 3 years ago, so you have no idea when, and which applies to, there's a lot of problems with that, which is games could push that were supposed to come out, or games could be shelved that were supposed to be made. So there's an inherent risk in all of this creative enterprise. But the show, what happened with the game was something that we didn't foresee or anybody else. But we think the episode is fantastic, and I can't see any reason why it shouldn't be part of the show. I certainly hope the game can get another at-bat. I'm not even going to speak to why it didn't work or whether that was right or wrong, but I just know that the people involved just wanted to make a good game, and they did the best they possibly could. So.
I'll say this is something that I'd like to add, right, is, again, for this panel, I got to check out screeners of quite a few episodes. I've not seen most of the episodes. I've seen probably about 6 or 7 of them. One of the ones I did see was the Concord episode, and currently it is my favorite episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you're a dick for asking that question. No, I get it, but it was.
You should wear that dick badge with honor.
I do.
Like, I have many.
But I feel bad for them, because it's like anybody that creates stuff, you put things out there and you hope that people like it, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Terminator: Dark Fate, and so and you have to read the reasons that people fill in the void of why you made something or didn't make something or made the choices that you made. But all of these people, and look, I was the guy outside throwing rocks for a long time too, but you have to understand these people are just trying to make something cool, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
I hope you do still release it. I know we'll love it.
Thanks.
Oh, you're going to see the episode. Is that what you're asking?
Oh, No.
Yeah.
Oh, eventually.
Concord's in there.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to
I'm
watch
ready.
it on December 17th.
Yeah, and I'm gonna find out what your Amazon account is, and I'm gonna
It's going to be
fair.
4 days shipping
because
for you.
they can do that. No, I'm just kidding. No, they can't.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe, or can they?
All right, is that Dr. Robotnik?
Yes, it is.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
it is.
Nice to see you, man.
Jeff Fowler is our good friend and ex-Blurian too, so he would salute you right now if he was here. Jeff's the director of the Sonic movies.
Oh, thank you.
Tim, Jeff, and I sat 2 feet apart at Blur for 20 years. Tim kept the shackles short.
All right, what's
My
your name?
name
What's your
is
question?
Derek. First off, I'm super excited to see the rest of the series as it comes out. But I'm also curious with so much work that was done with Star Wars: The Old Republic and the fact that you do have Keanu Reeves on the list, whether or not we would be able to do, whether or not there would actually be a casting of Revan for Keanu Reeves. I know that there were a lot of people that were excited online at one point about it, whether you can confirm or deny at all about it anyways.
Of him, what? I don't even understand the question. You?
His character in the Old Republic. Yeah, well, I can confirm anything, man.
I figured it was worth a try.
Yes.
Listen, I respect the effort.
Shoot your shot.
Let's swing back this way. What's your name? What's your question?
Hi, my name is Siddharth. Thank you so much for this panel. I'm really excited for the show. My question is, if you were to say there was an overarching theme connecting the stories, all the episodes of Secret Level, what would it be? Like, what would you say you're hoping to communicate as kind of like a continuous thematic threads through the series?
I'm gonna. So when we started making Love, Death, and Robots Volume 1, we had all the stories up. We were coming up with, like, curating the stories, or Tim was. And I asked him exactly that question. I was like, do you have an overarching theme that you would like to? Fuck no, man. Why would I do that?
It's so limiting. But I would say that Dave is secretly a man who should be directing Hallmark movies because he's got this really soft, chewy center. And even in Warhammer, it's so much violence, but it is really an emotional story when you see the whole thing instead of just that clip. And all of the stories have that. Some of them are more family appropriate than others, but they all have a real emotional core to them that I think is powerful.
We have a general philosophy, which is like people don't remember what they saw, but they remember how you made them feel, right? And so at any level, we're hoping, like, whether that's anxiety because you're watching Pac-Man, like, we're hoping like you'll feel something, right? So, like, if there's a common theme, it's just the hope that you come away feeling something from the episodes we're watching.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, back this way.
Hi, my name is Brian. Thank you guys for everything, showing everything. I'm really excited. I was just asking, I remember when the first trailer dropped, there was one of the thumbnails was Kratos, and I was really excited for something God of War related. But maybe I missed it, but I didn't see anything in the clips. Is that episode still happening? And what's going on with that?
There is a PlayStation episode that has a lot of PlayStation characters show up, and we see the chatter online, and I wish it wasn't so, or it didn't feel like we were being deceptive. Kratos is in the PlayStation episode. He's not the focus of the PlayStation episode. Don't get me wrong, we would love to do a whole episode full of Kratos, but they didn't let us have that, and so we have this episode that has a lot of PlayStation characters in it, which is cool. But there was no deception meant by that.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I see a lot of fan reaction, and I feel we felt a little guilty.
We were talking to PlayStation, and I remember growing up in South Africa in the 90s, and like the PlayStation sort of commercials and branding and their sort of what they've meant to gaming. Like, I remember when the Double Life ad came out. I don't know if anyone else can remember it, but that ad, like, it was the first time, and I was an early little gamer in South Africa. I was like, you can be cool and be a gamer. And I was so we want to...
Dave is still trying.
I'm still trying. and so like the episode is a love letter almost to the whole series in that regard. Like there are the games that sort of trap and addict us, and there are the cinematic adventures that PlayStation has been a big part of, like sort of bringing to our lives. So,
But it will not be the Kratos episode you deserve.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Maybe one day, you know.
One day, yes.
I've not seen the episode, but that's one of the ones I'm very much looking forward to. Like the way I've thought about it is almost like I don't know if you guys got to play PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale, but like the big crossover game. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited about the idea of like seeing Jin Sakai hang out with Kratos, hanging out with the Patapon guys, or like whatever other PlayStation IP you're able to get.
It's the high concept episode that's different from all the other episodes.
Awesome. All right, let's swing back this way.
Hello.
Hey.
How you doing?
My name is Christian. Okay. When you were making the Mega Man animation, what do you take what made Mega Man special? Like, what aspects do you find interesting about Mega Man?
I like that question.
It was a very good question, and it took a very long time to come to that conclusion about what the episode is. And of all the story threads we went through, we sort of came back to how did it begin. So that's what our Mega Man episode is about, without giving too much away.
I think it was about this power in our story. You'll see this what became the greatest power was not created to be such. It became that. All these other robots Dr. Light created were so much more powerful than Mega Man's, but in fact, he's the most powerful of all.
It's also like a sort of, it's going to only fulfill Tim's saying that I'm touchy-feely. But there's a sort of idea that like there's a great Mark Twain quote, which is like the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. That's what Mega Man's about.
So
Good one, Dave.
So that's what makes Mega Man special for you?
Yes, but I realize that what makes Mega Man special for me is not what makes Mega Man special for you and for everybody else. And that's one of the hardest things about the show, is that like we do our best to faithfully adapt it, but like we all have different experiences with these characters and these worlds. And so to sort of try and say that my experience with that franchise is the defining one is wouldn't be right.
Bonus question for me. What is the episode that you guys are most excited for people to see?
Oh man, come on! It's like asking which of your children are the
I know.
favorite. Yeah,
You got to choose one.
I can't say.
I mean, you can just say Pac-Man, Come on.
Pac-Man.
There we go.
No, that would be the most scared for people to see. I can answer that one.
I mean, it's the beauty of it's a total dodge answer, but it is the beauty of the anthology, and the same with that question was just asked. Like, it's like everyone will take something different. Like the episodes that I love are violent and upsetting, but that's just me. So yeah, like Pac-Man, Warhammer, Armored Core, like these are all like, but like anyone you ask has a different reaction to the episode.
I got a soft spot for Exodus because it's because I wrote it. But I was really ripping off Jack London's story, Odyssey in the North, and making it with time travel and a father-daughter story.
But you know what? And it changes. When we were making the Outer Worlds, like the Outer Worlds is like a sci-fi.
It's a sad one and a
retelling of the Giving Tree. It is like, and it's kind of heartbreaking. And so, depending on like the mood that day, I think my answer would change.
So we got time for one more question. We're going to take it over from this side.
Thank you for giving me the chance to ask this question. My name is Carlos. So, Armored Core, big game. One of the first titles that launched on the PlayStation back 30 years ago. With that in mind, it has created a huge, rabid, fanatical, almost religion. How much?
Oh man, I'm not sure.
It's
I
okay.
like where this question's
It's
going.
okay. It's okay. I'm not going
You
to.
realize
I didn't direct it.
Armored Core quiz.
You will be crucified if you fucked it up, Dave.
All right. Maybe. Hope not. How much freedom did From Software grant you into Armored Core? And What hooked Keanu Reeves into it?
So the two parts. First, how much freedom? Like, I don't know if you like this answer, an immense amount of freedom. They, is it? If you sound like you've played a lot of Armored Core.
Day one. Day one, brother.
So there are like, ironically, the place we haven't been a lot is in the cockpit and with the pilots, and so it would be difficult to tell an Armored Core story without meeting the characters that inhabit that world. So we very much lent into that aspect of it, to the point of From Software saying we were going to see some mech combat, right? And we were like, yes. But the whole point is to showcase the pilots inside the core. Like we wanted you to get a glimpse of the characters that make it special in a way that the games haven't been able to show you. But we were very specific to adhere to all the things that we know. Like we did work with them on everything. So we're hoping we didn't fuck that part of it up. And the Keanu side of it is like, I get this text from Tim. He's like, "Hey, what we got for Keanu Reeves?" And I was like, "We have a junkie mech pilot." And the next thing was a video from Keanu Reeves saying, like, "I would like to be this junkie mech pilot." But it is not the Keanu you know. It is the Keanu if we dialed back the clock 30 years and he went down a train spotting life and looks very different. To me, the story was written by this author, Peter Watts, who writes some pretty amazing science fiction. And Peter's sort of special skill in life is creating broken characters who thrive under inhuman conditions. So, like, I didn't want the Top Gun pilots with sort of rippling muscles. I wanted the sort of the junkie who sits in that pocket, that core, and is looking for a ride. Like, so they are very colorful characters who don't really fit in. If there was a way to sum up Armored Core, it is the conflict between our need to belong and our want to be special.
Thank you so much for your reply.
Guys, let's give it up one more time for Tim and Dave.
Thank you.
That's going to bring us to the
You guys are going to love it.
That's going to bring us to the end of the panel. Guys, do you have any closing
KJ, I'm going to get you that answer at some point. I failed miserably, but I will answer you.
There you go.
I can't remember the bosses in Wolfenstein. It'd be Wolfenstein still for me. But I can't remember their names. I just know they were Nazis. That's all.
Guys, of course, thank you guys so much for showing your excitement for the show. I know these guys really appreciate it.